What's up, everybody? Jack from Half Chrome. Today I've got a pretty cool one. This is the HGLRC Veyron 3, and as you can see, it's a Cinewhoop, right? It is the classic ducted Cinewhoop, ready to carry a GoPro, and I've got my Hero 8 Black on here. I did a little mod, you'll see. I'll tell you all about that to get it on there. But yeah, this is a classic Cinewhoop with one serious upgrade. Look at these, right? These ducks have these I think they call them EVA bumpers. It's basically, like a thick foam, kind of think of like a pool noodle or maybe like a yoga mat. That's what we've got protecting this thing so that it's a little bit softer. It tends to bounce off of things easier. So I'm going to tell you about this in just a minute. Stay tuned. All right, so let's take a closer look at the Veyron 3, okay? So really, like I said, the thing that makes it special is this outside design, right? So we have this carbon fiber plate on the top and the bottom, right? That keeps it nice and strong and rigid. We do have some TPU covers on the outside edges, right? So you added some added rigidity there. And then you have this EV foam, right? It's nice and soft. I would say the closest thing that I would compare it to is probably a yoga mat. And, it does a really nice job of being able to bounce off of things like these ducks, right? I've broken these ducks. I've replaced these ducks. When it gets cold in the winter, you hit one thing and they crack, right? They splinter. That's not going to be the issue here. So this is just a really nice design, really well put together. It feels nice. We've got these, little TP mounted shoes in the bottom. So when it lands, it hits those. There are a couple of things you're going to want to know, right? Starting with the motors. They're HGLRC motors. They're 1408s. These are 3600 kVs, right? There is a 6S version with a lower kV. I think it's 2400 kVs. Really, you're probably not going to want to fly that because it's just going to make it heavier on a 3S. Now, speaking of weight, this thing checks in supposed to be 244 grams. I guess that's without this mount here, but 263, that's with the battery strap. Really, they say it's 244. Maybe it is without some of these extra things I've got on there, but you're not getting this thing up in the air under 250, right? You add another battery and then your GoPro and, that's going to be it. Really, the best way to do that is something like this. I showed you how to build this one. It can be done if you put a RunCam Nano HD camera there, if that's what you want, but then you're taking off the ability to fly GoPro. So you're not going to be able to get any of these Cinewhoops in the air with a battery and a GoPro for under 250 grams. It's just not going to happen. Another option you could use is something like this. This is the Beta FPV. I think it's a 75 HD, right? You get your HD recording right in here on an SD card, but totally different machine, right? Like, carrying a GoPro on here is a game changer, right? You can use the stability software and it really just works quite well. Now, I modified this holder to fit the 8. I cut the top off and then I'm going to zip tie it around twice to hold it in place, right? So I don't have it available right now, but basically just sits in there like that, right? That's kind of how they all work, right? You just kind of put the GoPro, on the front and then you fly around. But you don't have to use a GoPro, right? That GoPro does fantastic things and the stabilization is awesome, but inexpensive action cameras or even some different box cams. I think this is the Foxier. There's the RunCam 5, the orange. That one's really nice. Definitely some other options to kind of think about and consider, right? So let's talk a little bit more about this. Again, I love the design. It just feels good. We've got a spot here. If we want to mount a second camera, right, make this a cheater quad, you could do that, right? I'm using the RunCam Ratel. They do make a DJI version. That's with the Caddx Vista. I kind of wish I would have had that. So this version is about $200. I think it's $210 actually, whereas the DJI version is about $3, right? So $100. Let me tell you, once you go HD, I'll tell you, once you go DJI, it's hard to go back. So I would recommend it, but I understand the cost issue there. The thing about these that are nicer than really some of the other quads in terms of getting footage is, you know, they tend to be safer. Don't mistake that as safe, right? These are spinning blades, right? Nothing is going to make it 100% safe, but this is probably the safest of them that I've tested with this nice little protector on the outside. So flying inside, you can do that. I flew it around my house inside, and it's not like flying a tiny whip, but you do get some good footage if you're throwing on a hero or something like that. Then you can take it outside and you can fly it around nice and smooth. I would highly recommend you fly in acro mode, especially outdoors, just because the footage is going to be smoother. I flew both angle and acro to kind of test that out. I knew the answer, right? Acro just tends to be smoother. Angle tends to, you know, kind of get that drone going back and forth a little bit quicker, right, to kind of self-level. Whereas acro mode, it's you're working the sticks, so it stays pretty darn smooth. Yes, it can do some acro, but you know, that's not what this thing was built for. You know, if you want to do a nice little twist and a roll outside of a door or something like that, you know, hey, that's up to you. But yeah, I'm just kind of learning how to use one of these as a tool for some cinematic footage. So you're not going to get that from this video, but perhaps in a new one coming up. All right, so let's talk about this mount. Like I said, I just chopped the top here. That allowed me to fit the larger Hero 8. I also recommend putting something in the bottom. This is a sticky pad for a battery, something like this. This just kind of helps keep it in place, and then a couple of zip ties will do the trick. Now, I did have an issue with this. I left it plugged in, sitting on the ground for a while, and this VTX, right, it's power switchable from 25 to 600, which means it's going to get hot. And if you have it in a higher power setting, and you just let it sit there, it's going to overheat, and that can cause permanent damage. And I did that to this, so I'm going to have to jump in there and replace the VTX, which is a bummer. I really don't want to do that, but you know, it's my fault. I kind of got talking and left it plugged in, and poof, it kind of fried it. So I'm going to say that was probably 15 minutes of just leaving it plugged in, which I know was dumb. But hey, you know, if you're looking for a tool to capture some good cinematic footage and be safer, this is it, right? Not safe, safer. And I kind of like the Spider-Man-esque design, right? Pretty slick. Anyway, let me know what you think. Are you in the market for a Cinewhoop? Hey, this is probably the one I would recommend. Anyway, let me know what you think. Good luck and happy flying.